Y'all are in for a treat. Hello, Maddie here. We're talking about Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. I do basically entirely fiction, cute, fun books here on this channel. Every once in a while, we gotta talk about some serious stuff because I do read serious books. Not very often, but it happens. I've done a video on this. I don't need to go into a full explanation. I'll try to remember to link it down below that video. My family does a thing called the Storm Family Books of the Year, and every single year there are 4 members that get to pick a book. It used to be 3 members, but we've added so many in-laws that it's now 4 people every year. And many years ago, either 2019 or maybe 2020, my second oldest sister, sibling number 3, picked this book. Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. I've always been a huge advocate for sleep. Since high school, I've known why it's so important and just how much it can affect my daily life, but I never had the science to back me up. And this book turned me into just a little bit of a sleep tyrant. And why we're talking about it today is because the semester has started. That means for husband and I, youth group has started up. We both are volunteers at our church's youth group. We absolutely love it. We love our kiddos and they need sleep. They are only a few weeks into the semester and they are already floundering. And this video isn't to take away from importance of studying and homework and being involved and socialize and all those things. This video is a video I'll actually recommend to them because not that they can't watch my videos, but it's just weird for people in your real life to see your videos that you see like on a weekly basis, sometimes multiple times a week. It'd be a little weird, but this video is specifically tailored for them because they need to sleep. So if you are any of my students watching this video, please watch the whole thing because this is for you, because I want you to live a good, long, healthy life, and that includes sleep. So let's start by reading the synopsis of this book, which is what I said is a thing that I am going to do with all of my books moving forward. Neuroscientist and sleep expert Matthew Walker provides a revolutionary exploration of sleep, examining how it affects every aspect of our physical and mental well-being, charting the most cutting-edge scientific breakthroughs, and marshaling his decades of research and clinical practice. Walker explains how we can harness sleep to improve learning, mood and energy levels, regulate hormones, prevent cancer, Alzheimer's, and diabetes, slow the effects of aging, and increase longevity. He also provides actionable steps towards getting a better night's sleep every night, which is true. He does. Which will be the end of this video. I'm going to go through the appendix of his book and give you those actionable steps. So this book, I highly recommend it for a million reasons, mainly because so that you yourself can have this arsenal of facts and scientific data to back up why you're doing what you're doing. Because for me, for a really long time, I was like, sleep's super important and I know it's important, but I didn't know why. I didn't know the actual effects it could have on my life. My first moment of sleep is more important than other things sometimes. Well, sleep isn't more important. Basically always. But the first moment I was able to basically accept that fact and put it into action is I was studying for a test my junior year of high school. And I was downstairs studying and I was like, I think I was crying. I was overwhelmed. I was tired and I was so stressed out. And I was probably like 11 o'clock at night. And my mom just looked at me and she said, go to bed. She goes, I don't really care how much more studying you get done. It's not going to do you any good at the state that you're in. You need to sleep. It's going to be better for you if you go to sleep. Now, I don't remember what I got on that test, but that lesson stuck with me through college. I always tell people, you do not need to pull all-nighters. Getting a few hours of sleep is so much better for your grades and for your productivity than staying up all night ever will be. I never pulled a single all-nighter all through college. There were probably a couple of semi-late nights, maybe 1 o'clock, maybe 2, but I never stayed up super late for reading. I did for other reasons like going out and things like that, but for reading, for studying and doing assignments, things like that, I never stayed up super late. I always made sure I got sleep on school nights and I always prioritized that. And I graduated. I got through. It was all fine. I only had to drop one class and that had nothing to do with amount of studying and whatever. It was a whole other thing. But I made this a priority. I never pulled all-nighters and I got through college. So you can too. You can get through high school. You can get through college. You can get through life, but you got to prioritize sleep. Now, this is what I say to people. People don't like being told they should sleep more. They don't like being told they need to be going to bed earlier. They don't like being told that they need to be doing all of these things. They want to live their life the way they want to live their life, and they don't want to be told otherwise. They don't want to be told that the way they're living their life is detrimental to their health. But the thing is, it is. So for this video, like my blogs, I'm basically just going to give you kind of a few facts, tidbits, studies from the book and say, here's some information. Hopefully it's intriguing enough to make you want to read the entire book because It is so fascinating, but it's also hard to read because it's going to make you take a real hard look at your life and what you're prioritizing, especially in terms of your health. Now, some of the first things I want to mention. So I actually wrote 2 blogs about this, which will both be linked below. I wrote 2 blogs about this book because I wrote a first blog, and then I just, a year or so later, I was like so fixated that people needed to know more information that I wrote a second blog. I go into some things about the book first, but the first fact I choose to mention is not, it's one of the harder facts that I say to people. And it is that drowsy driving is actually 10 times more fatal than drunk driving. There are all the ads, all these things that are like, don't drive drunk, don't drive drunk. Don't drive drunk. There are basically no ads warnings for driving drowsy, and we do it all the time. The reason it is more likely to be fatal is because with drowsy driving, you're actually doing these things called microsleep, and it's like 3 to 7 seconds of literally sleeping. So with that, you have 0 reaction time. With drunk driving, it's delayed reaction time. So you still react. So you still swerve a little bit, take your foot off the gas, things like that. And while it's still going to be bad and still can be very bad and can be fatal, with drowsy driving, there is no reaction. So you are full speed ahead, no foot off the gas, and it's more likely to have a much more detrimental effect. Why don't we have more ads, whatever, about this? It makes me so frustrated because drowsy driving is so dangerous. For those of you students, while my student group can't drive yet, Evan's student group can, and people that I have had in my group before now can drive. Don't drive tired. Don't do it. It is not worth it. If you need to stay at your friend's house where you currently are, or you're at home where you currently are, or whatever the situation is, even getting like a 30-minute nap is so much more important than getting to wherever you're going. But won't like that. And it's also a really scary fact, but it's true and you need to know it. Next, why I chose to pick the like kind of worst facts for my first blog, I don't know. I was super passionate. But the next fact I say is that sleep experiments are so cruel, they won't even do them on rats, which is, our go-to experiment thing for drug and, whatevers. They did sleep experiments on both people and animals and stuff, and they found that they were so cruel and like torturous that they will not do them anymore. We cannot do sleep experiments on any living beings anymore. We can't do it because they have such negative effects. Well, sleep experiments in terms of like sleep deprivation. I think they still do experiments on like quality of sleep and like things like that, like when you're on things or, people that have like trouble sleeping because of like sleep paralysis and snoring and all these things, that they'll do experiments that kind of that vein of sleeping. But in terms of sleep deprivation, not a thing that they do, because they literally were like, yeah, this is awful. We won't do this to any living being anymore because it's so awful. So that's a fun fact for you. This is one of my actual fun facts that I will pull out at parties because it's a fact that people can wrap their minds around, but doesn't make them, kind of like antsy and anxious and whatever. But it goes, I think I said that other fact to go into this. Because we don't have sleep experiments, it can be really hard to get data on the effects of more sleep, less sleep, things like that. But as much as I can't stand daylight savings and I think it's stupid, it existed for a reason once upon a time. It shouldn't exist anymore. But like we can't get rid of it and it's done. But with daylight savings time, we have the largest sleep experiment ever. Twice a year, the US either gains an hour or loses an hour based on the time of year to kind of adjust the way the sun is in the sky to affect our days so we get more or less sun. So in the spring, when we lose an hour, the literal next day, so that Sunday, it's always the Saturday night, early mornings of Sunday is when we either lose or gain an hour. That very next day, that Sunday, there are more car accidents and more heart attacks the literal next day just by losing 1 hour of sleep. And in the fall, when we gain an hour, the literal next day, that Sunday, there are less car accidents, less heart attacks the next day, which literally goes hand in hand with what I just said about drowsy driving, less car accidents. I don't go into many facts in my blogs about health because they're so nuanced. I don't think I could do them justice, but the effects it has on your health is like crazy. Yeah, it's like heart health especially is one of the things that can be severely impacted on whether you are or aren't getting sleep. That goes into one of the health facts I do mention. This is my other party fact because it's a fact that can give you hope. Dementia, Alzheimer's, kind of these diseases you can get as you get older, they are a result of your brain not properly flushing out chemicals when you sleep. So During your day, chemicals will build up in your brain, and as you sleep, they get flushed out. As you get older, your body gets just not as good at flushing those chemicals out, and that's because of that buildup of chemical, your memory is not as good. It can't function properly because there's kind of this buildup of gunk that it can't flush out. Now, if you were getting proper sleep when you're younger, let's say an adult, so like 18 on, if you're getting proper sleep through that time of your life, you can delay the effects of dementia and Alzheimer's by 10 years. 10 years. That's an entire decade of your life you could potentially have back just because you prioritized sleep when you were younger. Wouldn't you want that when you're at that age, when you're finally able to retire and enjoy life, enjoy kids, grandkids, travel, whatever it is you're doing at that time in your life? Wouldn't you want those years? Wouldn't you want to do what you could to enjoy that time longer and more? So just get sleep. But those are my facts from my first blog. No job is worth it. No assignment is worth it. No test is worth losing sleep over. Not to the point of like having negative effect. Yeah, if you stay up 1 more hour to study for that test, fine. But you need to be getting sleep for like all the functions of your body. So one of the reasons it's important for students to prioritize sleep is your short-term memory gets turned into long-term memory in your sleep. Pull all-nighter studying. By the time you get to your test, maybe you'll do well on your test, but none of that information, or almost none of that information, is going to get turned into long term. So by the time you come to your final, all that information is going to be gone, and you're going to have to study it all over again. So it's important to study for more days leading up to it so you can get to bed on time, so all of that information can get turned into long-term memory. Okay, get sleep. Next, these are the 2 things people hate to be told the most. First, caffeine consumption. We love caffeine. We live in a world driven by caffeine. Do you know how long it takes to get out of your system? Oh, wait. I'll give you a second to think about it. Not enough time to research it. Okay. It takes 12 hours. 12 hours. Caffeine has a 5 to 7 hour half-life. That's how long it takes for it to half get out of your system. It takes 12 hours for caffeine to get out of your system. Based on when your bedtime is, on when you wake up. If you're waking up at 7, you should be in bed no later than 11. Meaning you should not be having caffeine any later than 11 a.m. For me personally, I don't like having caffeine after 10 a.m. if at all avoidable. Sometimes if I'm finishing, my last little bit of tea after 11, I'm not going to penalize myself for it. But I make my tea right when I get to work so that I can have it finished by the time that hits. I usually only have one, I would say, big cup of coffee. So it's 2 tea bags. So if you're a student, yeah, you can probably get away with a little bit later in your day drinking your soda or coffee, energy drinks, whatever. But you need to, based on when you wake up, go back 8 hours. That's when you should be going to bed. Go back 12 hours. That is, you should have consumed all your caffeine for the day by that point because it stays in your system for 12 hours. People that get cups of coffee at 4 o'clock on their workday make me so annoyed. People that are I have, things to do tonight, so I'm going to drink an energy drink at 8 o'clock at night. I'm like, what are you doing? And what makes me so frustrated about this particular fact is that caffeine doesn't stop you from going to sleep. So there are loads of people that are yeah, I can have a soda and then just go to bed. Not a big deal. And you can go to bed. But the thing is, your sleep is affected. So the depth of your sleep, the effectiveness of your sleep, but it's all affected by this caffeine. So yes, you can sleep with caffeine in your system 100%. It doesn't stop you from sleeping, but the sleep you're getting is not good sleep. It is deeply affected sleep. It doesn't do for you what it should be doing. So even if you're no, I can totally drink caffeine and sleep, you can't. It's just you can't immediately tell the effects of how much it's affecting your sleep. So when do you wake up? Go back 8 hours. That's when you should be going to bed. Go back 12 hours. That's when you should have drunk all your caffeine for the day. No one likes that fact. No one likes being told they shouldn't be drinking caffeine, but it's true. It makes me incredibly frustrated watching people drink stuff so late in the day. In that, you might have heard I said, when you wake up, go back 8 hours. No person can function on less than 7 hours of sleep. It is scientifically proven. I'm going to tell you the funniest quote in the world about it. But before then, I said 8 hours because the book recommends getting 8 hours of what they call sleep opportunity. Because they understand, like most people, when you go to bed, you are not immediately falling asleep. You often get in bed and maybe you read or watch something, listen to something, or maybe you just toss and turn a lot. It kind of just depends on the person. Evan can get in bed and he falls asleep in 2 seconds. I can sometimes. So you need to be giving yourself 8 hours of sleep opportunity, which means 8 hours in bed. So ideally, you are sleeping for a minimum of 7 of them. This is not oh yeah, in general, I get 7 hours. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. No, the minimum amount of sleep you should be getting is 7 hours. You should not be getting less than that. People don't like being told that they need to be going to bed. Well, I will try to find it and put it in the description, but it's by a different doctor, but it's quoted in this book. And it's like the percentage of the population displayed in a percentage, rounded to a whole number of, people that can function on less than 7 hours of sleep is 0. And it's like, yeah, there are loads of people that are like, I can function on 6, 5, 4 hours of sleep. You literally can't. Your body needs sleep. It's so important. If you get 6 hours of sleep for 10 days, your body is functioning as if you've been up for 24 hours. After just 10 days. Sleep's important and you need to be getting it. The last things I want to say as I'm wrapping up this video, I hope that you didn't find this too tedious and heavy, but I think it's important. You need to know it. I've been wanting to get this video out for a while just to show to people, to be like, here are some facts about sleep that are really important. It affects all of your health, heart health, mental health. Like I said in the synopsis of the book, it affects your hormones. It affects anything and everything you could possibly think of. There's not a single function of the body that is not affected by the amount of sleep that you're getting and the effectiveness of the sleep that you're getting. Like I said, you may be getting 8 hours every night, but if you're drinking caffeine before you go to bed, that's not really 8 hours of sleep. It's 8 hours of really crappy sleep. The final things I wanted to say is there are a couple of talks by him. There's like a TED talk and like a Google talk. One's an hour, one's 30 minutes. I link both of them in my blog, but I will also link them in the description of this video. Talks by him. If you don't want to read the book, but want to kind of get why it's so important and have him talk about it, I totally recommend those. Finally, before we go, I want to quickly go through his 12 tips for healthy sleep, which is found in the appendix of his book, Why We Sleep. There's information underneath of that, but I'm just going to give you the 12 tips because I don't think you want me reading like 5 pages to you. So number 1, stick to a sleep schedule, meaning go to bed, wake up around the same time every single day as much as possible. Number 2, exercise is great, but not too late in the day because, it can get heart rate up and stuff. It can be hard for your body to kind of come back down and get proper sleep. Number 3, I almost said 4. Number 3, avoid caffeine and nicotine. Matthew Walker is a caffeine-free person. I understand that most people aren't. I myself am not. As much as you can, avoid these things. Number 4, my students don't need this, but will eventually. Avoid alcoholic drinks before bed. That is because alcohol can make you kind of drowsy and sleepy. As it leaves your system, it actually wakes you up, and so you're not getting as good sleep. So avoid it before bed. Number 4, avoid large meals and beverages late at night. Again, because as your body is kind of working through systems, exercising, things like that, it can keep you up and make your sleep not as good. Number 6, if possible, avoid medicines that delay or disrupt your sleep. I don't know a whole lot about this one specifically. I don't have personal experience with it, but if you're on medication, talk to your doctor about the effects it could have on your sleep and maybe when you're taking it and what time of day you're taking it. Number 7, don't take naps after 3 p.m. I am totally guilty of this, but in general, try to avoid it. Because yes, it's going to affect when you're going to fall asleep, meaning it's going to affect when you're waking up and how much sleep you're getting because naps are not as good as actual REM good sleep. Number 8, relax before bed. This is the, avoiding blue light. I know for me, I actually have the red light filter on my phone that goes with sunrise and sunset, help my brain start turning itself off. We're all start at screens before bed. That just happens. I know that it's a thing that happens. Should be unwinding as the night progresses as you head towards bed. Number 9, take a hot bath before bed. There's something about the heat leaving your body and then getting into bed that makes your body relax more. I don't totally understand. He goes fully into the science about it. But taking hot baths or hot showers can be really good before bed to help you fall asleep. Number 10, dark bedroom, cool bedroom, gadget-free bedroom. First two are pretty easy. The third one's really hard. I know for me at least, my phone, it goes kind of out of arm's reach. It's in a really it's in a place where it's really awkward for me to get to, but I can get to it to turn my alarm off in the morning. But it's not visible to me when I'm sleeping. But a dark bedroom, a cool bedroom, he goes into it. I'm pretty sure there's a literal ideal temperature for sleep. They've actually done science on it, research on it, and I'm pretty sure it's 75 degrees, if I remember correctly, is the ideal temperature for sleep. Number 11, have the right sunlight exposure. This is what I was talking about when I was talking about how I turn my phone to the red light filter for sunrise and sunset, because blue light, daylight, turns your brain on. It's why a lot of times when you see sun streaming through your window, it wakes you up because your brain says, oh, it is now time to be awake. And as the sun is setting, your brain is saying, oh, it's now time for bed, which is why, people get all weird during winter and stuff because of the amount of sunlight they're getting. So you need to be having good sunlight exposure. Again, he goes into all these specifics of that. Number 12, don't lie in bed awake. He talks about how your bed should be a place of sleep. It should not be where you're doing your homework. It shouldn't be a place where you're doing activities. It should be a place for sleep. Because that way, when your body gets into bed, it says, oh, we are now sleeping. This is something I was really bad at during high school and college because, I would often use my bed as a desk and I would study there. But as I've gotten older, I've gotten a lot better at this. And if I get in bed, if I just sit on my bed, it doesn't make me tired. But if I get under the sheets, my brain is immediately it is now bedtime, and I fall asleep super fast because my brain is oh, this is what we're doing. Make your bed a place for sleep and don't just lie in bed overweight. So even if you wake up in like the middle of the night, he recommends even like, yeah, getting up and going somewhere else so that your body doesn't associate being awake even in the middle of the night with your bed. I know this is a really long video and I'm going to have the worst time editing it, but I hope that you learned something. I hope that this was helpful and educational. I hope it didn't make you too mad, but it's all important. It's all just super vital to you living the absolute best life. Is need to have sleep. Getting sleep and drinking water kind of they got to be the basis for how you live life, because otherwise it just makes life really, really hard. So don't be too mad at me. Read this book. It's really, really good. I totally, highly recommend it. If you're not willing to read the entire book, please go watch either his TED Talk or his Google Talk, depending on how much time you want to put into it. But with all of that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hope you have a great night, a great week, great weekend, great month, great year. Hope you have all the greats and great sleep, because you are truly worthy and deserving of them. So until next time, bye.